daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.
Welcome everybody, wherever you may be, to the Daily Premier League podcast. It is Saturday the 30th of August. It is 8:45 in the morning, and believe me, it feels like it. My name's Ken Davis. I'm joined by all-round good egg, so much so that he's off to ref a football tournament right after this, and esteemed journalist, Mr. Nick Britton. How you doing, Nick?
I'm very well, Ken. I'm very well. I should say it's 8:45 UK time, not 8:45 everywhere in the entire world. So if you are, and I know this because I've got this on my phone for family reasons, that in New York right now it is 03:52. It's 8 minutes to 4 in the morning, so I hope you're all asleep. Or if you're not, if you're awake, please listen to us. I love Saturday mornings. I love Saturday mornings when football is on Saturday afternoons and your team's playing Saturday night or Sunday. Or
Can't beat it. Can't beat it. That little freshen of excitement. Have you got a freshen of excitement, Nick?
I've got a freshen.
Just pleased to see me.
Well, both, I'd say.
Early morning, mate. It happens to us at our age.
The sun, yeah, it does. Well, no, mate, not much happens to us at our age. It's the sun is shining. It's a lovely day. It's great. Let's do it. Let's do it. Lots going on in the world of football as well.
Oh, yeah. A big Saturday morning. Welcome to all of you who make listening to Daily Premier League podcast part of your everyday routine. It's great to have you along again this Saturday morning. Right, news. 3 things just want to touch on before we get on to today's and tomorrow's fixtures. First one, Amorim. This is like a slow motion car crash, Amorim at the moment. Sometimes, Nick, I hate my players. Now, is that the language barrier not doing its thing, or is there something more going on here?
No, it's just him. And he was at pains to point out during his rather bizarre, as they all are these days, press conference, that he's sick of trying to be somebody else or pretending to be this or pretending to be that. He's just going to be him, and he's going to say what he says and say what he feels and all of this kind of stuff. So he was making no apology for digging the players out after their wretched performance on Tuesday. And to be honest with you, I had no issue with him digging the players out because they were dreadful. I mean, they were really, really poor against Burnley. But it's just this constant, I don't know whether I'm going to be in a job tomorrow and out of my control and, what happens. And it just feels, I don't know whether he wants to leave or whether he's doing that kind of job that managers do sometimes when they're fed up and they've had enough, where they don't want to leave, but they kind of trying to get themselves sacked. It's so bizarre. What he says is so weird. Sometimes I like the players, sometimes I hate the players, sometimes, I don't want to see them. Sometimes it's just like, what are you saying? Stop talking. Please, just stop talking and think about what you're saying and think about the effect it has. You're under an enormous pressure. And I kind of understand what he's trying to do here, which is, look, I'm just going to be me and I'm going to be up front and I'm not going to change and like it or lump it. But, lump it seems to be the preferred option for most people these days.
Yeah, the weird thing about this is it's like he's talking to his best mate rather than the world's media. If you're in a job that you hate, you might, if I'm talking to you about it, say, I'm just going to be myself. I can't be bothered with it anymore. They're driving me crazy. I'd say that to you, but I wouldn't necessarily say that to the sports correspondent of the Daily Telegraph. You know what I mean?
I know, and it's a big press conference. Well, they're broadcast all around the world, aren't they? It's Manchester United. But yeah, it's just I just wonder if it was a kind of over deliberate attempt to get his point across that he's not going to change, he's going to be himself, and it was just a kind of expression of that. But if he wants to talk himself out of a job, he's doing a good job about it, because nothing that he says would instill me, if I was either a supporter, a player, or an owner at Manchester United, that he's up to the job.
No, I think you're right about that. Talking about other managers that seem to be either talking them into or out of a job, Marinakis and Nuno Espiritu Santo are going to be holding clear the air talks in the next couple of days. Now, that sounds conciliatory, but on the same other side of that coin, it sounds ominous. I mean, things could go well, may not go well. Nuno said, let's remember, there's no smoke without fire. There's clearly an issue. There's clearly been a breakdown there of that relationship. What do you think is going to come out of this, Nick?
Well, it's either clear the air talks or clear your desk talks, one or the other.
Nice one.
We now know a lot more than we knew when Nuno made those rather cryptic comments. So just think back a week or so ago when reports started to emerge that Nuno out of nowhere. This was absolutely out of nowhere that Nuno was going to get sacked, and everybody went, "What on earth is that all about?" Well, we kind of know what it's about now, and it's about Edu coming in as sporting director or director of football, whatever these titles are, and that that has kind of broken the link and the chain of communication between the manager and the owner. So Nuno and Marinakis, because Edu now sits in the middle. So Nuno now has to speak to Edu, and it's Edu who speaks to Marinakis. And Nuno clearly doesn't like that, and I can understand why. Clearly doesn't appreciate that, and that's what's led to this sort of breakdown in communication. Plus, of course, all of the stuff that went on at the back end of last season, which will still be sitting in the background, and and will never quite go away. So, yep, you're right. I mean, there's this say the PR machine's been rolled out heavy this week. Marinakis has been talking about no, it's no problem, it's all fine, we're all good, we all want the best interests of Nottingham Forest at heart. Nuno's been kind of saying the same yesterday. So the inference from everybody is it's all right and Nuno will carry on. But Marinakis is an incredibly unpredictable individual, and if he wakes up in a bad mood on the day that he's having talks with Nuno, then that could be the end of it. You just don't know. You don't know how these things are going to pan out because, as I say, there's just so much unpredictability in there.
I think you're right. Too much of this is being played out in public for me. I've got a feeling things are breaking down. You talked about the sporting director, absolutely right about that. That isn't going to change. So Nuno's going to have to like it or lump it. I've got a feeling, as we said, I think a few days ago, I think we're watching the slow disintegration of that relationship. I still don't think he's going to be there in the new year. The third point, just to talk about, something close to your heart, is that I get a sense that the mood music on Tyneside is changing regarding Isak's departure. They were pretty bullish about it. No, he's staying here, he's contracted here, not interested in the Liverpool deal. Now, obviously, things are changing because it looks like they're bringing in a replacement, inverted commas. Is that going to just be the thing that pushes that Isak domino over, do you think?
I think it's certainly going to help. I mean, we talked about Amorim looking like he's a rabbit caught in the headlights, and just his behaviour is a bit odd. I mean, right at the other end of the scale is Eddie Howe, who's an absolute everything he does in the public domain. He's a class act. Everything he does, I think he's handled the Isak situation absolutely brilliantly. I really, really do. He's a real class act. And yesterday in his press conference, he denied these kind of constant questions that he had told Alexander Isak that if we bring a striker in, we will free you to go. However, a report in the Telegraph on the back page of the Daily Telegraph today saying that Liverpool are going to come in with £130 million. Remember, they've already come in with 110, which got rejected. Newcastle are after 150 to 160. 130 is in the middle, so that might do the job. Key to this is, of course, the fact that they're bringing in Newcastle. Are bringing in Stuttgart's Nick Volta Marda. He's believed to have had his medical at Newcastle yesterday. We don't think he's going to be registered in time to play at Leeds today, but he will be. He won't be training with his teammates because he's in the Germany squad for their Euros. So he'll come, he'll sign, and then he'll disappear. But he'll be available as soon as the international break has finished, and that's a big in. But the noise coming out of Newcastle, the PR coming out of Newcastle, is that he isn't a replacement for Isak. He's actually a replacement for Callum Wilson, and Newcastle still need more strikers, and they do. Let's face it, they need at least one more striker. They're still after Strand-Larsen. The Wissa deal is a bit weird because it looked like it was done a month ago, and there's just not much has moved. Yet he wasn't in the Brentford squad last week. Be very interested to see if he's in there for this weekend, game week 3. We spoke in the week, didn't we, you and I, on the podcast about Strand-Larsen not being available for Wolves, but the comments around, well, every player is available. Sorry, not being available for transfer from Wolves. Sorry, I meant. Yet every player being has a price was the noise coming out of Wolves. So they might have to pay well over the odds. I mean, £70 million for Volta Marda for a 23-year-old who's quite inexperienced and, of course, have never played at Premier League level is a lot. But the striker market is inflated. Anyway, there's a kind of lack of strikers around, and everybody knows Newcastle are desperate, so they will add money on to that. Although, to be fair, I think when you look at this transfer, it's a very good transfer, by the way. I think he's a player who drops deep. He's not a kind of Isak replacement at all. He'll drop deep. If you look at his stats and his pie chart stats, actually, his biggest strength is linking play. And I mean, he scores goals and all that, and his goal record is very good. But his biggest strength is linking play. So he'll drop a bit like Harry Kane will. He'll drop. He'll receive the ball. He'll move it on. He's 6'6", so he's a big lad. He'll add good weight to those set pieces. So, but Newcastle are they've been tracking him for a couple of years, 2 or 3 years. They thought he was going to go to Bayern. Bayern have had 3 bids rejected this summer, and actually the last bid was higher than what Newcastle had paid for him. So I wonder whether he just decided he wanted to come to England and come to
Fancy
Newcastle.
the Premier League,
Which is great. Yeah, good for him.
And it wouldn't. Yeah, it's an interesting deal. 69 million I've got for Volta Marda. If they add on, say, 64, which I think they're going to have to get Strand-Larsen from Wolves, because it'll just top the Cunha deal, which I think is what Wolves want to get to. Essentially, it's a like-for-like replacement of Isak. You're going to be selling Isak for 130. You're going to pull these 2 people in. I mean, does that make Newcastle actually a better team if you've got Volta Marda and Strand-Larsen than they had with Isak?
Yes, I think it probably does. Well, it's not just that, isn't it? It's 2 players out, 2 players in. So you've got Isak out and Wilson out.
Yeah.
And you've got, if they get Volta Marda in and another, whether it's Wisso, whether it's Strand-Larsen, we don't know, then yes, it does make them a better team, because Isak, you're never going to get more money for Isak than you're going to get now. Last season, he was brilliant, but brilliant in patches, and he also had patches where he couldn't hit Bondor. And I just think for this amount of money, it's a great deal. And 2 replacements in who will benefit the team. And Newcastle are so strong in so many areas other than that final bit, which is the hardest bit of jigsaw, putting the ball in the back of the net. So find a couple of players who can do that, they will absolutely be confident they can have another top 4 finish.
Very good. They're going to have to get a move on. We are going to come to the predictions for Saturday and Sunday's games in the second half of this podcast. But at this point, it's probably worth reminding you that it's in football, in fact, in all walks of life, it pays to get your team selection right. And here at Global Sports Podcast Network, we spend a lot of time selecting our delivery partner. There is one clear winner, that's Zencastr. They make it easy to bring your vision to life, share it with your audience, because they've got 4K video recording, they've got easy AI editing, and the very best distribution tools. So tell your story with Zencastr. Check the show notes for details.
Your daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.
Right, second half of the show. Nick, that was a very interesting little news segment. A lot of moving parts at the moment. But let's get to today's games. We're going to run through them. What I want from you, Nick, don't need a score, just need a general prediction. Home win, away win, or draw. We're going to start at Chelsea. Chelsea against Fulham. Chelsea looked amazing last week. Fulham are just decent without being overexciting against Man United. What's your prediction for the Chelsea-Fulham game?
Well, a bit of breaking news, actually, on Chelsea as we bring them in. This morning, news coming out of Stamford Bridge that Nicholas Jackson is on his way to Bayern Munich on loan. And I wonder if he's going there because they're not getting Volta Marda, who's now going to Newcastle. So a good move for Jackson. It is actually a very good move for Jackson, because I don't think he's proven himself at Premier League level at all. And I thought if he was going to a team that's not quite as good as Bayern Munich. So well done to him for getting that move. And anyway, Chelsea-Fulham. Yeah, Fulham... It's really difficult to judge where Fulham are at, because they haven't spent any money. Well, they spent $500,000 on a backup keeper. They've spent no money in the transfer window, and they've got a very good side. But you can't do this in the Premier League. You can't spend no money and expect to progress, because if you stand still, you go backwards. So it's difficult to judge. And yet, when I watched them in the second half against Manchester United last week, I thought they were very good.
Yeah, but is that because Man United just aren't very good?
Well, I don't know. Good question. And I thought they were okay when they played Brighton, but they came away with a very, very late but slightly lucky point. Yeah, going to Stamford Bridge is going to be difficult. I think you're probably looking at quite a close game, because I don't think Chelsea are firing yet. I know they beat West Ham, put 5 past them last week, but
West Ham aren't very good.
West Ham probably score 5 goals.
Yeah.
So It'll probably be tight, but I think I'll go for a home win.
Yeah, I agree, and I don't think it'll be quite as tight. João Pedro seems to be on song. I love Caicedo; he's a great player. I think there's a. I think Chelsea are shaping up. I know they had a hiccup on the first match, but they looked great last time. I'm really interested to see how they go against Fulham. If they go and knock 3 or 4 past Fulham.
Yeah, because Fulham are a much better team than West Ham.
Yes.
And Chelsea struggled against Palace on the opening game of the season. I think Fulham will give them a good go. I like Fulham; they're a good side. And
I think Fulham are better in Craven Cottage than they are away. So it's good. There's a lot going on, but yeah, I think Chelsea have the upper hand. Hope so, because I think it'd be interesting to see a good Chelsea team in the Premier League this year. Right, next one. This is a big game. I think one of the big 2 games of the weekend. Man United against Burnley. I would not have thought I would be saying that at the start of the season, that this is an absolute cliffhanger. Man United against Burnley, but it feels like it is, because something. If this ends up 1-1, this ends up 2-1 for Burnley. That could be it for Amorim. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you're right. Nowhere did ever anybody say Manchester United versus Burnley is the game of the weekend. But I actually, in many respects, it is. Just because of the politics going on around it, just because of the consequences of what might happen, depending on the result. I know Liverpool are playing Arsenal, but Man United Burnley in some ways is a bigger game. I think Burnley will score, because I don't think Man United can defend, and I think Burnley are very good at set pieces and all of that. I think they'll score. I just think
it's got a pretty good defence, Burnley. I know it certainly did last year.
I know. It's just kind of inconceivable that they'll win. I don't think they'll win. But I just wonder. Look, Man United's front 3 of Mbeumo, of Cunha, and Sesko, who looked wretched against Grimsby on Tuesday in his sort of first full game. And by the way, why did he take like the 11th penalty?
I don't know. I talked about this on the podcast a couple of days ago.
Yeah,
he took the 9th. That isn't exactly let me at it, is it? That's
no.
Put me at the back of the queue. I mean, that's a terrible. It's
the optics,
just horrible.
The optics around that are dreadful because. Sorry, I know we're digressing, but let's just go on this. The optics are because what it tells you is you got a striker there who is not confident and doesn't want to
zero confidence. Yeah,
he's terrified of taking a penalty and missing it. And if I'm his teammates, I'm going, mate, we've just paid £70 million for you. Here's the ball. Yeah. You take the first penalty.
I'm the right back. You're the centre forward. You're going ahead of me.
Yeah. If it was 70 million, I can't remember what his transfer fee is off the top of my head, but it was a lot. And he didn't look any good during the game, if I'm brutally honest with you. Look, he's a young lad. He's fine. I'm not criticising him particularly. It'll take time, but he is a goal scorer. So that front 3 should be scoring goals against Burnley at Old Trafford. They should, because Burnley aren't great travellers. They've never been great travellers.
No, in a way, the other side to this argument of this game is this is the greatest get-right game Man United could have asked for. If Amorim wanted a match, wanted a game, wanted a fixture that he said, okay, we're now going to set our stall out. We're going to go and beat someone 4-1. Everybody's going to feel much better afterwards. Everyone's going to love everybody else. This is the game. So, in a way, it could work out that way. This could transform their season in a way.
It could. I think it'd probably be preferring to play West Ham, but I get your point. Yeah. So I look. It's so difficult to predict this game because anything can happen. I can see Burnley winning 1-0 or something like that because that's what happened to Manchester United last season.
Yeah,
saw teams who went there and just won quite comfortably, and as the second half progresses, everybody just gets more and more and more fractious, and it's all horrible. Equally,
I've got a gun to your head. I need a result.
I just don't know. Look, the common sense says Man United are going to win. Common sense says Manchester United have to win. Common sense also says it's going to be ugly. So 2-1 Man United, just a narrow home win, something like that.
Right. I'm going 1-1.
Yeah, I know. I know. You're going to do that.
Right. Sunderland, Brentford. Brentford looked dreadful. Sunderland, I think, home form. Nick's still got PTSD about his prediction about
I
99.
knew you were going to do that because that's what I was going to do. I was going to go 1-1. I just didn't quite have it.
We've worked with each other too long. So Sunderland's home form is going to be key. Do you think they're going to keep things going at the Stadium of Light today?
I do. I think you've been a bit harsh at Brentford. I thought they were quite good when they played Villa. They beat Villa last week and played well. Sunderland, though, I'm going to go for a draw. I'm going to go for a draw in this. And I think Brentford, it's one of those games where if you're Sunderland and you look at this, you go, this should be a home win. It's also one of those games where you do kind of realise that the Premier League is a massive step up from the Championship. And teams that are quite ordinary, and let's face it, Brentford are quite ordinary, are still good in terms of where you've come from as a Championship team. So I think probably a point for Sunderland, a point for Brentford, and everybody's happy.
Right, I'm going home win. I think Brentford are dreadful. I think Villa were just pretty dreadful last week. And I like Sunderland at home. I don't think they're going to concede. I'm going 2-0 for Sunderland, though I don't need a score. Right, here's an interesting one. Spurs, 2 wins out of 2 against Bournemouth. Bournemouth tough to beat. Spurs seem to have been transformed under Thomas Frank. So how do you see this one playing out?
Well, I was looking at the head-to-heads on this, and there's little point. There's no point. There's no point looking at Bournemouth going to Tottenham and running them off the park last season because Ange was in charge, and Tottenham were a very different beast this season.
Yeah, so were Bournemouth, by the way, a different beast last year.
Bournemouth have started very well. I think Tottenham, though, are a different beast this season. I think they are. So home win. I think defensively they've got what really, to be fair, Postecoglou should have had last season. They've just got much more stability. Thomas Frank is a very, very good coach. They've looked really. I mean, when they beat Man City, they put in a performance that you've not come to expect from Spurs in recent times, which is they were just really defensively organised, really solid in midfield, hard to break down, but then also lethal on the attack. They've got all the right pieces in the right places at the moment, and I think they're a good side. They look a good side, so home win for me.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Bournemouth lost a lot of defenders over summer. And I just think Spurs are going to score too many for them. 3-1, something like that for Spurs. Right, Wolves, Everton. Story of 2 poor defences for me. I've not been convinced by either of those defences. Tarkowski looked very dodgy in the week on last weekend. What do you think?
Tough one to call, isn't it? I mean, Wolves have started poorly. They had flashes in the game against. I mean, they were tanked easily against Man City on the opening day. They had flashes against Bournemouth, but limited to being down to 10 men, but looked a bit better. I don't know. They just don't look in source. I kind of fancy Everton for this, if I'm honest. I kind of fancy Everton. I think under
Fresh
David
off
Moyes,
their victory at the Hill Dickinson, do you think you're going to make 2 wins out of 2?
I just think under David Moyes they're a much better side, and he's got them better playing. And Dyer's on fire.
Grealish, of course, the Grealish effect.
Yeah, Grealish had a good game, last week. I kind of fancy Everton. I think, look, it's about time Everton had a decent season. It's about time they just stopped being perennial top, so bottom 5, bottom 6, boring side. This might be it. I just don't think Wolves are at the races yet. So I'm going to go for an away win. I think it's probably the first time I've ever predicted an Everton away win. Ever. Anyway.
Certainly in all the time I've known you, and I've known you for nearly 15 years. So I'm going to go for a draw. I think both teams are going to cancel each other out. I think there will be goals. I think it's going to end up probably a 2-2. Leeds v Newcastle. Right, we just talked about all this. Leeds need to bounce back after 5-0 trouncing at Arsenal. That's kind of forgivable. Newcastle... Okay, they're doing some business, but they still look incomplete. They don't look a complete team to me. Obviously, up front is the issue. That's a tough place to go to for Newcastle. What do you reckon?
It is, and they're missing some key players. Obviously, Joe Linton was injured in the game against Liverpool on Monday. Anthony Gordon was sent off, so he misses 3 games, so they're out those 2. Suggestion that Tonali might be fit, which is a surprise because he went off holding his shoulder like his arm was coming off on Monday night. And likewise, Shah, who went off with a concussion with a head injury, but a suggestion that they followed the rules, in which case he might be fit to play. Although, to be fair, he was replaced in that game by the new defender, Chow, who looked good. So I don't think Shah will be as big a miss as Tonali will be if he doesn't make it. I'm not quite sure what the situation is with him. If he does play, it's a big boost. It's a big boost for Newcastle. I think, look, I say this every week. Their midfield is really, really good. Look, going to Leeds is a difficult job, and Leeds will.
Really?
I wonder if it depends on the first 15 minutes and the last 15 minutes, because that's when Leeds are generally at Ellen Road really strong. They'll come at you. They'll fly out of traps at you. But Newcastle are always hard to beat. They're a bit like Palace. You look at them and go, we've got a chance. But they're a very, very well-organised, well-drilled, well-set-up team. And I think they'll win today. I think they'll it'll be one of those games where Leeds will go into it, they'll chuck everything at it, Newcastle will stand firm, they'll get a goal, and I think I'm going for an away win here.
Okay, I've got a home win. I think the narrative that's playing out in Newcastle is that the international break can't come soon enough. They need the players in. It's going to be another performance where they dominate, don't score. Leeds get 1-0 Leeds, and everyone will say, "Thank God for the international break. Let's get this team looking like some kind of team again." And I think that's where we're going on that one. So that's Saturday's games. Global Sports Podcast Network has partnered with Bioniq, the world's most personalised supplements, because your body is unique. And because, without knowing exactly what your body needs, taking off-the-shelf supplements can mean you're not getting enough of what you need and maybe too many of the nutrients you don't need. So Bioniq provide 100% tailor-made supplements designed to deliver precisely what your body needs at exactly the right levels. So click on the show notes for more details. Use the code GSPN 2025 for 40% off your first order.
Your daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.
Well, that just leaves us with 4 games on Sunday to quickly run through. We're 27 minutes into this on our Saturday morning roundup of the weekend. Hope you're enjoying it with myself, Ken Davis, and Nick Britton. Right, Brighton v Man City, Nick. James Trafford had a bit of a dodgy game the other day. Might not even playing goal for Man City. How are you viewing this one?
Yeah, lots of rumours, obviously, about Donnarumma still coming into Manchester City. Edison was on the bench last week. Lots of rumours about him leaving. It'll be an enormous show of faith if Pep keeps James Trafford in goal. I mean, he looked nervous. He looked shaky. I hesitate to say he cost them a goal when he played that really, really short ball into, from a goal kick into a player who's been heavily marked. I mean, lunacy, kick the ball long. But I also feel sympathy for goalkeepers in this situation because they're just told to do it. And I get the sense with some managers, and Pep might well be one of them, whereby he'd rather lose a goal. We're watching Russell Martin up at Rangers do all this. He'd rather lose a goal doing what I want to do than not lose a goal by kicking it long and not doing what I want to do. Do you see what I mean?
I do see what you mean. I struggle with the logic, but
there's no logic to it whatsoever. But equally, there's no logic when you watched them last week against Tottenham, where you've got a goalkeeper and 2 centre halves stood in and around the corner of the 6-yard area, and Tottenham players swarming all over you. Where's the logic in trying to pass it around your penalty area?
None whatsoever.
No, there's no logic in that. Just get rid, reset, go again, and start again when the ball's in the Tottenham half. It just doesn't make any kind of sense to me. So I feel for Trafford. I'd like to think it's difficult because Newcastle were in for him for a long time, yeah, and he would have been first choice at Newcastle, I think. But he's going to find himself now, if Donnarumma comes in, he's going to find himself just back on a bench and not playing.
Well, he hasn't done himself any favours. And we were talking up Trafford. We like Trafford as a keeper.
Really good,
but
he's such a good keeper. He's such a good keeper.
England keeper of the future, I think. But he's just found himself in a difficult position now.
Yeah.
So what do you reckon on this one then?
It's a very difficult one. Brighton are a good side. I always like watching them play. They're strong at home. Man City, well, which Man City is going to turn up? Is it going to be the Man City that trounced Wolves, or is it going to be Man City that lost rather aimlessly to Tottenham? No idea until they start playing, so I'm going to hedge my bets here and go for a draw.
Well, I'm going for an away win. I think this is the bounce-back game for City. I think we may be underestimating just how good Spurs may be. I thought they were excellent against City last week. I think City have got to win this. Or if you lose your 2 out your first 3, you can virtually give the title up. So I think City are going to really go for this, and I'm expecting the kind of City performance that we saw on the first Saturday. So I'm going for a City win. Forest v West Ham. Well, if Marinakis and Nuno wanted a get right game, here we go. West Ham have been abysmal. Forest have been good still. Do we expect that to continue?
Well, I've only got one thing to say about this. At 6 a.m. today, Ken, I made Chris Wood captain of my fantasy league team.
We should say, dear viewers, Nick's fantasy football league team is not exactly running away with it. If you can get relegated from a fantasy league team, Nick's in a lot of danger.
I'm already down with 2 games to go. So they're still.
You pretty much are, yeah. Yeah, I think you need to have clear the air talks with your chairman on your fantasy football league.
Not so bad. Well, in my defence, I don't normally play fantasy Premier League. I haven't done it for years and years and years. And then I was in America. I was in America a couple of weeks ago, and one of my colleagues at work said, "Oh, you've got to do it. We've got a work thing." And I'm like, "I don't want to do it." "Oh, come on, you've got to do it. You've got to do it. I'm like, "I don't want to." And I'm like, "Yeah, you must." So I did, but I did it kind of when I was on the move, and I just kind of picked a load of random players, and it was only no, don't shake your head because it's true, and it was only after the first kind of fixtures, which were the weekend that I was coming back from America, that I realised that 6 out of my starting players were all injured and didn't play. and then so I got like no points. And then last week...
Well, no, you didn't. You got 23.
Okay. Last week, I completely forgot about it. So I didn't change my team. So the same 6 players or whatever that weren't playing still weren't playing. And I was saved by Jordan Pickford being in goal, who saved a penalty against Brighton and kept
13 points.
Otherwise, that's it. However, the good news is this morning, I've changed my team. And I've actually got 11 players in my team
who are actually playing today.
Well, they might play. We don't know, do we? But they should be playing. All my bench.
That gives you at least a chance. It's embarrassing. But I'm very glad you're in the Football Legends fantasy football team, because it just means I can't come bottom. So, okay, here's the big...
There's only 3 of us.
So I'm presuming here we're both going for home wins on Forest.
Oh, comfortable Forest. Yeah, comfortable Forest home win, 3-0 or something.
Okay. Next one of the classics, another classic, right after the Liverpool-Newcastle classic, Liverpool-Arsenal. This already feels a bit title decidery, or am I over-egging this?
No, you're over-egging it. You're over-egging it. But you are in a way, because it's not title decidery, but it is a game which can fire out lots and lots of signals. So Arsenal can fire out a signal to Liverpool to say we're serious about it by going to get a result there. Liverpool, if they turn Arsenal over 4-0, we'll just go, yeah, thanks very much. We'll have the title this year. Cheers. Especially when Isak comes in as well. So there are subplots to all of this, aside from who gets the 3 points or the 1 point or 0 points on the day. I think that Arsenal will have looked at Liverpool's first 2 games and be rubbing their hands with glee at the thought of getting
shaky.
Really bad news about Bukayo Saka, obviously, that he'll be a big miss, but mitigated in some way in that Eze will, I'm sure, make his debut. They've got players to come in. They've got Madueke to come in. You can play. They've got players who can play up top in Saka's absence, and likewise. But Liverpool, they haven't convinced yet, but they've won their opening 2 games, so that tells you something as well. And their defence can't be as bad as it was against Newcastle. Surely, Slot must have looked at that and thought, right, I've got to change this around. Get Szoboszlai back in midfield. Gravenberch played really, really well. He's such a good player. And Saka had a quiet game but scores goals. They've got attacking firepower all over the pitch still. And I think it should be a really entertaining game. But I fancy Arsenal to get something out of it. I really do. So I'm going to go for a draw.
Okay. Yeah, it's an interesting one. Liverpool have been very, very vulnerable against lesser teams than Arsenal. So there's going to be goals. I think we are really heading for a classic here. In my head, is it a 2-2 or is it a sneaky 3-2 for Liverpool? Because Liverpool they are vulnerable. They've got this resilience. They've got this belief. They've got what champions do, the ability to go down the other end and make something happen. And I've got a feeling we're looking at another game like that. I'm going for a Liverpool victory. It's going to be exactly the way it's played out in the first two games. It's going to be 2-2 going into the last 10 minutes, and Liverpool get a sneaky one, or 1-1 and they end up 2-1. I'm going for a very, very close Liverpool victory, where everyone will say Liverpool are still vulnerable, but they still keep doing it.
Yeah, and keep doing it, and doing it against Arsenal, though, is something else, isn't it? I mean, you're doing it against, with the greatest respect to Bournemouth, or even Newcastle. Doing it against Arsenal would be a real signal. A real signal. We've got to see more, I think, from Liverpool. We've got to see more from Wirtz, the new signing. If he plays,
Wirtz has been disappointing, hasn't he, so far?
I think Ekitike started well. Salah's been quiet, but I don't doubt.
He has been quiet.
I like Gravenberch and Jones in the middle of the park. I'd like to see a bit more Harvey Elliott, if I'm honest with you. I like Harvey Elliott in that position. But yeah, that back four. I mean, the back four that played against Newcastle, obviously Szoboszlai isn't the right back. Konate's had a shocking start to the season. Kirkes has not impressed at left back yet.
No, dreadful.
And Van Dijk is always very reliable and dependable. It's just got to get better at some stage, isn't it, for Liverpool? You can't look at it and go, that's a massive problem. You've just got you look at it, I think, and just go, that's a bit of a problem at the moment.
Well, it's going to get better when they get Mark Gahey from Palace. I think that's what's going to happen.
If they are, I'm not sure that's going to happen. I'm not sure it's going to happen. I don't know. There's something about that. There's something about Palace that I feel do not want to sell him because they've already sold Eze, and it was either one or the other.
They've sold him.
I just don't think
Liverpool at the back look dreadful. Very susceptible to step.
Yeah, there's talk about Gahey and Arsenal.
It might be interesting. Arsenal kings of the set pieces. Liverpool very vulnerable at set pieces. That's going to be an interesting little subplot on its own right.
Yeah,
so that's an interesting segue with Gahey to the last game, which is Villa Palace. Villa have been really disappointing so far this season. Palace have there's just a lot of uncertainty around Palace. Is that going to catch up with them in this game? Are Villa going to eventually find their form of last year and put in some kind of performance?
Palace don't lose away from home.
No.
So, and Villa have looked very shaky. I think Palace in the first couple of games have looked good, but they draw a lot of games. I mean, they've drawn, 5 out of the last 8 games? They are the draw specialists. The draw against Forest, I watched the draw against Forest earlier in the week, and it was a very, very even game. But I think both Forest and Palace are better than Villa. And yes, they're missing Eze. They're dipping into the market, Palace. Devaney's come in. He's not Eze, simple as that. But Sarr's started the season how he ended last season, or I played for most of the season, to be honest, on fire. And you've got Mateta there. I think Palace will be too strong for Villa. I think they'll win the game.
Very good. I've got it as a home win. I know Palace have just brought in Pino, who they're really chalking up on the wing. So that'll be an interesting see if he starts. I just don't think Villa can carry on being this season's Villa. Eventually they're going to revert back to last season's Villa. I've got Villa as a home win. We've disagreed on many of those things today.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this pans out. It will.
Yes,
I mean, the problem with Villa is
they
are. Yeah, sorry, excuse me. The problem with Villa is that they are just not. They haven't bought enough players. They've let quite a few players go, and they haven't bought enough players. There's a lot of criticism swirling around the Villa fans around Unai Emery playing John McGinn out wide when he's
doesn't make sense.
He's not a right midfielder, straight right winger. He's somebody who plays through the middle. He's a centre midfielder, and it just doesn't feel like all is well at Villa at all at the moment. just doesn't feel. This feels like there's just a lot of sort of uncertainty at the moment. So it'll be up to Oliver Glasner, who in my opinion is one of the Premier League's best coaches. He's got the capability to send a team out there to win.
Interesting to see. Certainly doesn't look like the balance is right at Villa, but we're only 3 games in. This is the 3rd weekend. Everything is still up in the air a little bit. So, thanks for listening to the Daily Premier League podcast. Hope you tune in every day. It's a great place to find the latest news, views, and analysis on the best club league competition in the world, and it's available wherever you get your podcast. So please subscribe so it's delivered straight to your device. Leave us a rating and let us know your thoughts. You can reach us at dailypremierleaguepodcast@gmail.com, and lots of people do, and it's a very interesting read. And we're going to be featuring some of those postbag things during the course of the week ahead. Nick, thank you. That's been elucidating. Is that the word? That's been fascinating. You've got a football game to ref. It's about to kick off. Because I know you told me I've got to be out the door at 9:30. It's already 9:31.
Yeah.
So they've got to be waiting for you, thinking the referees are late sleeper.
No, I've got plenty of time. Well, not like you getting up this morning. You mean? We were meant to do this a little bit earlier until I got a message from you going, "What? I've just woken up." So I better go and referee this game. Let's see how we get. You and I will catch up at the start of next week, and actually tomorrow night, aren't we? We're going to do a
we're doing tomorrow night. Tomorrow night's roundup of the weekend.
We will know who is a football predicting genius and who needs to go the way of Ruben Amorim and down the drain.
Until next time, until tomorrow night, we'll see you soon. Thanks for listening.
Your daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.